Crowhill here. Today we review an ale and discuss pro-Palestinian rallies on campus. Hello and welcome to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Good evening, Pigweed.
Good evening, Crowhill.
What's on your mind today?
Well, this can be, this Palestinian-Israeli conflict can go off in a bunch of different directions, and I see what we've decided to do is just focus on one small segment because, you know.
You could go all kinds of, you could go directions.
You could go
You
forever.
could spend hours and hours talking
Yeah,
about this.
but I thought, for a little bit of context, I'd back up just a little bit.
Okay, like to Abraham Accords.
Well, I don't know, probably before that.
The UN Balfour Declaration.
How was that, 1947?
Yeah,
that's not going to cover it. I found this old book in the library here that seems to have some...
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, that book.
Yeah, this one.
That you're turning to Exodus.
Am I going back too far?
That's a little too far.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? Maybe we'll save that for another time.
Okay. We'll do that one another
let's
time.
do-
Okay. Let's leave Exodus aside. We're going to focus on just what's going on right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. Good. But before we do that,
What's going on
we've
here?
got to try this. This is Captain Crowhill Abbey Ale.
Okay.
I brewed this a couple times. It was Second Lieutenant Crowhill Abbey Ale, and then it was First Lieutenant Crowhill Abbey Ale, and now it's Captain Crowhill Abbey Ale. And an Abbey Ale is a little bit sweet, a little bit malty, touch strong.
Yeah. Reminds me of a Doppelbock.
Huh? Yeah. I mean, it should be less crisp than a Doppelbock, because a Doppelbock would be a lager, and this one should be a little more that ale flavor. A little wilder in a sense.
But dark.
But dark,
Sweet.
Yeah, I like it. It's one of my
That's a good job.
one of my good beers, and I don't brew it that often for some reason.
Nicely
But
carbonated. I mean, lightly carbonated, but appropriate for the style.
appropriate for the style. Yeah. All right, so there we go. Abbey Ale,
right.
homebrew success, and
How about what the show is not about?
yeah.
Okay,
So
this is what it's not about. It's not. We're not going to recap the events from October 7th.
Right.
Moving forward, I don't want to discuss the origins of the conflict.
right.
Putting my Bible away.
The 67 war.
The historical, the geopolitical arrangements, the accords. Okay, how about this is a starting point. Israel exists.
Right.
We got that.
Yeah.
Right? This is probably a little dicey for some of you out there. It has a right to exist.
Yeah.
And a country that has a right to exist has the right to defend itself.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms
Okay,
of
just-
sort
here we go.
of real politics. Here's where we are.
Here's
This country. It's there.
Later on, I do want to talk about the river to the sea and exactly what you're actually talking about here. But we'll work up to that. So, but more specifically, who is protesting on behalf of Hamas in the United States?
And
Why-
around the world, but we're going to focus on the United States.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let's narrow it down just even more. How is it that there are so many in pro-Palestine rallies? Actually, at this point, I'm going to call it pro-Hamas.
Yeah.
Pro-Hamas rallies on college campuses and university, and why the universities are silent on the matter.
Yeah. Yeah, well, to some extent, I think it's just the repurposed crowd. It's the same crowd. It's the BLM crowd. It's the George Floyd crowd. It's the pro-choice crowd. It's the anti-Trump crowd.
Yeah.
Recycled.
Yes.
And it's the same people.
It's the whole intersectional bunch that when they're like, all right, well, there's people are getting motivated about something. What side am I on? I'll tell I'll just look out there and
There's a good riot going on.
And there's-
Tuesday. We can't miss it. Right. So there is, unfortunately, there is a very strong, just kind of protest element, and they just want to protest.
yeah.
And that's how they get meaning in their life, I guess, is by
Well,
protest.
yes, I would say this is a version of Marxism, just like BLM is.
Struggle sessions and so.
Yes, just
Except
a
this-
cancel culture.
Yeah.
All of this is all part of creeping Marxism that really I thought when the Soviet Union died, the whole Marxist ideology would die with it, but they just realized, okay, so there's not going to be any violent revolution. We just have to take over the institutions, and
It'll be violence of a different kind, rather than being, tanks and planes and all that. It'll be violence in the street, and it'll
It's
be...
not going to be a spread of the Russia's 1917
Right.
revolution like they thought, but they said, well, it doesn't mean we're not going anywhere because we're already embedded on college campuses.
Well, they have been taking over the college campuses, unquestionably.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this has been going on the whole century.
Yeah.
But so Marx... If you back Marx up, critical race theory is a branch of Marxism, which is dividing the world into oppressors and oppressed. Yeah. And it's and all Marxists, you're going to do what? You're going to come up on the side of the oppressed. So
so for Marx it was class, and for a lot of people in America it's race, but it's also just comes down to oppressor versus oppressed.
Yeah,
and that's kind of the rallying cry here. Hey, that's how you identify who the bad guy is from these idiot college protesters' point of view. Right. Whoever is being oppressed, they're the good guy.
Yeah. Right. Yes. So it's basically and the loser in a conflict
is the good guy.
Is the good guy.
Right.
Yes. You are by virtue of winning the bad guy, which was a sentiment that we never have viewing history before Marx for the entire human history. You just go, well, guess what? They're winners and they're losers. Sometimes
and you lost. Yeah.
And it's just the simple consequence of history.
Yeah.
Since then, no. Now you're assigning blame to all victors.
Yeah.
And
yes. Do you want to talk about some of the illogical stuff that goes on in these rallies?
Well, let me just finish. Let me just say this. There are all of these liberal buzzwords. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get down to the root of how you get right-thinking, educated, supposedly educated, mostly upper middle class and upper middle class college students.
How do you get them? How do you draw them into this kind of stuff?
Yes. How do they?
What are the magic words?
So yes. Yeah. Well, and I don't think they understand the situation.
No.
They can't.
No, when they say from the river to the sea, they don't know what river, they don't know what sea.
No,
they're idiots.
They couldn't. No. There's no way that they could find.
They couldn't find Gaza on a map if they tried.
No. Right. Even if you narrowed it down, even if you showed the map of Israel, they couldn't find Gaza.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but if you successfully label a person, a group, anything, persecuted, marginalized, oppressed, throw in POC, victims of colonization,
right?
So if you can put all of those words on the Palestinians, then your liberals and leftists are going to say, well, I know what side I'm on.
Exactly. Yeah. So you take two groups of people and you put them in a desert, and one group of people is productive and makes it flower and bloom and productive, and the other group of people can't even get the water supply working properly, and the liberals are going to be on the side of the of the people who can't get the water supply. If when aid goes to Gaza and they give them pipes for improving their water supply, they use the pipes to make rocket launchers.
Yeah, and it's Israel's job to provide them water and electricity.
Yeah, right. How did that happen? Oh gosh, yeah. It's crazy. The world is a crazy place.
Losers. But of course.
Because they have to do that for PR.
But no, I'm calling them. I'm trying to insult them, but they're embracing it because loser means the good guy. So they said, "You're right," and where's our land?
Right. So I think that ties in with something I wanted to say, which is that a lot of these college liberals, they think abstractly. They don't think about practical reality or they don't think about the facts and the details and the practical reality. They're thinking abstractly, and they're thinking in terms of the kind of things that you're saying. Who's the oppressed? Who's the oppressor? All that. And they're, don't bother me with facts. I'm talking about how I feel about this.
Exactly. Many times we've brought up the simple line of, have you thought this through? Right? Yes. And this is another case of emotionalism and not having thought anything through. So what do you have in mind?
So some of the things here that you have, you see, gays for Palestine. Do they know that they would throw you off a roof? Do they know this?
This is actually an article in the paper about that.
Oh yeah? Okay. Palestinian flag outside Rashida Tlaib's office seen throwing pride flag off the roof. Okay.
Thank you, Babylon B.
Okay, that's a Babylon B.
But that's hilarious.
But that's a good one.
Yeah. Please try that.
Yeah,
Please,
exactly.
Please do that.
Yeah, you have all
Please
these
go
people.
over there.
You have these pro-abortion people saying that that reproductive rights are Palestinian rights, or they'll say things like Palestinian liberation is black liberation. What are you talking about?
Yes.
It's this intersectional nonsense.
Yes.
They're thinking that because the magic words conjure up the same feelings for all these different things, that therefore they're all united in some way.
Yes.
But it doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No.
Except that it causes them to have the same sort of tingly feeling when they hear the words about these different groups.
But again, without having thought through.
Yes, yeah. One thing that's funny about it, though, is the whole people of color side of it.
Right.
Is I don't think Israelis are any less brown than Palestinians are.
Right.
I
mean, aren't they from the same region?
I mean, some. I mean, a lot of them moved into there from Europe or from the United States.
Yeah.
So there is a mixture of whiter people, right. but a lot of the
Russian
Jews were there.
Yeah.
They were there. Anyway, okay.
Yeah,
Now we're getting back into
don't make me pull my book out.
Getting back into the history part of it. The other thing that's funny is, generally speaking, the left gets all upset about hate speech. But somehow hate speech against Jews is perfectly okay. You can say
no, but what they'll do is they'll just find a simple opinion that they don't like, twist it into hate speech. When you say I'm not being hateful, they go, it doesn't matter. I'm perceiving it as hate. So there's this weird, like, trying to invent hate speech. However, then when you met with actual hate speech, when people are saying I hate and want to kill you,
yes.
That is free speech.
Exactly. And you have these things going on college campuses,
yes,
where you have people saying stuff about genocide against the Jews. You have these rallies like on Harvard. Where they're saying just atrocious, horrible, hateful things. And you have students like crying, saying, they're talking about killing me and my people. How can you let this go on? But then if they say something like, oh, a man can't become a woman, then that's hate speech. But actually talking about killing people, somehow that's not hate speech. I don't understand.
Well, speaking of Harvard, a Harvard student. I'm quoting. I'm reading a headline.
Right.
Harvard student leaves lecture on microaggressions to attend "Kill the Jews" rally.
Yeah, well, that kind of sounds like what would really happen. I mean,
and guess what? You didn't even notice that that's satire.
Because it seems too real. It seems like what exactly
that's
what
supposed
happened.
to be a joke.
It's supposed to be
not a joke.
But that's the genius of the.
And and of course, what happens is 6 months after one of these headlines,
it'll happen.
It'll just happen.
It'll happen in real life. They have this amazing ability. FBI races past protesters screaming "Kill the Jews" to arrest woman praying silently outside abortion clinic.
Yeah, that's 100%.
It's 100%
what goes on.
And it's astonishing and disgusting. But that's where we are.
By the way, that was satire.
Yeah. I was confused at first. When you read the headlines. I was thinking it sounds like something straight off of CNN.
You're like that's a little rough, but I guess
that could happen. That's the kind of thing that happens. So what is it? What are the things that tie this mentality together that allows people to justify this insanity?
It is so. Let's say before October 7th.
Yeah.
All of these things were going on,
yeah.
Right? There was all this intersectionality. There was all of this, if somebody took a poll on campus, before people were screaming and rioting in the streets, the numbers would come up just what they would come up very pro-Palestine,
right?
For the reasons that you've mentioned.
Mm-hmm. If they even yes, except a lot of them are so stupid, despite being university educated. They might not even know what Palestine means until it all of a sudden became a big deal in the news.
But I mean, they would at least know enough to say
be anti-Israel.
Yes, to say to know good, to do the old good guy bad guy thing.
Yes, yeah.
So they know enough that Israel's a powerful country. Palestine may not be a country. They wouldn't know that.
They wouldn't know. Yeah, isn't that a type of horse?
Right. But they would have had that position. Mm-hmm. This is what made me want to do the show is, okay, so that's your position. I get it. It's dumb. That's just strictly liberal default position.
Right.
How does this support get turned up to 11 after a hate-driven, unconscionable, reprehensible attack on civilians.
Yeah.
This is the time where you go, oh, now I see what victimhood is really all about.
Right.
I was sort of semi-lukewarm pro-Palestinian. Yeah. Now I'm 100%.
Yeah.
How does that, WTF, my friend?
Yeah. So real rape isn't rape, but like saying something mean in class, that's rape.
Yes.
You know, and
yes.
And actually killing and beheading people.
Yes.
That's not murder.
That is the oppressed reacting in the only way they can.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of what it comes down to. It's kind of like the liberal idea that a black person can't be a racist, that only the powerful can be racist. So
Yes.
a black person can hate white people, and that's fine because the black people are oppressed. But if a white person hates black people, that's racist. So there's
something
dynamic
like that going on because yes. So any attacks by the oppressed
against
on
the oppressor are perfectly legit.
Yes.
Yes.
And a retaliation by the oppressor is.
So when it's
genocide.
Hamas,
Hold on, can I just 1 second?
Yeah.
Do you know who you're talking to here? When you say when you accuse somebody of genocide, when you're in Western Europe or whatever,
right.
But you're actually you're actually talking about the people for whom this term was invented. You only know the term.
The Jews have been
Jews.
There have been so many attempts to wipe out the Jews throughout history. I mean, that's like the dictionary definition of genocide is people trying to kill all the Jews. I mean, it's happened so many times, and nobody's been trying to kill all the Palestinians. Nobody.
And now to react and say stop killing us is now become you are going to co-opt the term. Get your own term.
Yeah, and okay.
The last term that you need to be throwing around is genocide.
Now let's get back to from the river to the sea, just for since you brought up the genocide.
All right. So yes. So now let's get into moving on from feelings to facts. Have you followed this through?
Right.
Do you know what you're? Of course you don't know. Did you see like high school kids in San Francisco on a walkout chanting? A bunch of Hispanic kids in California chanting, Palestine will be free from the river to the sea. I don't have a map in front of me here, Crowhill.
Okay, well,
but could you know what goes on between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea? Do you know what's there?
Yeah, Israel.
Okay.
I mean, not completely.
Yes. Well, I mean, all of Israel lies there.
Plus, all of Israel lies there. So the idea is that if they were to say the Palestinians are going to occupy from the river to the sea, what they mean is killing the Jews and pushing them into the sea. That's basically what it means.
Do you know that? Of course, they don't know what this.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't know the river. They don't know the sea. They have no idea what anybody's talking about. They couldn't find the Jordan River on a map
and then you pointed it out to them. The occupied territories.
Right.
No, they haven't been there.
They don't know what that means.
They don't know what that means, but
Right.
they like. But that sounds good because that means oppressed.
Yes.
But the Jews haven't been in Gaza since 2005.
Yeah.
Or the Israelis. All right. So, are you saying that the creation of Israel was a mistake? It should never have happened. And the only way to rectify it, I guess there are two ways. You have a new diaspora where every Jew voluntarily leaves.
Yeah, but we're trying to stay on the modern thing, and the modern thing is two-state solution, right? They're always saying two-state solution. We need to have.
Well, I'm saying, hold on. Let's finish out the from the river to the sea.
Okay. Yeah.
So if to the river to the sea either means
Yeah.
everybody moves out.
Mm-hmm.
Or we will just murder every Jew.
That's what they really mean.
That's what they really mean.
I've heard Palestinians say, "I want all the Jews in Israel, so we know where they are, so we can kill them."
Of course, when you listen to what's coming out of their mouths, that's what they're saying.
Yes.
If you want to listen to media, Western, non-Arab, non-Muslim, Western media types and Western politicians, they'll talk to you about what?
The two-state solution.
About the two-state solution.
Which is so.
All they want to do is their own land, live in peace.
Right, but they're out there chanting, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Or they're saying things like, we don't want no Jewish state, we want all of it.
Yeah, of course they do.
You know,
I mean, that's what's coming out of their mouths. So
yes.
that
And
is
when
what
people
they
tell
actually
you,
want.
When people tell you who they are, believe them. You know, this is what the rallies all over the world are saying. They're saying, kill the Jews, push them out. They don't want a two-state solution. This is the crazy fairy tale that liberal journalists and liberal politicians keep clinging to.
Yes, and here's the other thing that they say: Hamas does not represent the people. They
voted them in.
They voted them in. They've been okay with this four-year term lasting 18 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever hear any Palestinians. Have you heard about Rashida Tlaib? Has she ever said that, we got to get Hamas out of there so that we can get a reasonable government that will negotiate in good faith?
No.
Right?
Nobody.
She doesn't say that.
I was watching some videos of some of these various protests, and one of the signs said, "We can't wait for the caliphate."
Yeah.
I mean, it's they're talking about genocide, and okay, they're talking about genocide. They're talking about wiping out the Jews. They did this horrible attack where they killed innocent civilians, which is everybody in the world who has any sense condemns that as a horrible thing. And because of that, because of this horrible attack, that somehow draws out all these brain-dead college liberals who come out and demonstrate on behalf of the Palestinians.
It's unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable.
And before we get to the response to that, let's just flesh this out a little bit more. The mistake is for Westerners to put themselves in their position and say they're just like you and me. They just want a peaceful place to raise their kids.
Right.
They don't. They say, listen to what's coming out of their mouth. You love life. We want to die as martyrs.
Right. Yes, and that's what's being taught in the schools in Gaza.
Yeah, back to, who's the one? Go to my ear?
Yeah.
He was like, when they love their children more than they hate us, we'll have peace.
Yeah.
And they don't.
And they don't.
They hate them.
Yes.
They would rather martyr their own children than give an inch to the Jews.
Right. Yes.
And
so
go ahead.
Yeah. So something that just really irks me that I got to say. Remember when the hospital got bombed?
Oh gosh.
And the Western liberal media took Hamas, a terrorist organization, took their spin on it at their word.
Yeah.
And said it was from Israel.
Right.
And it turned out, no, it was Hamas blowing up their own.
Right. And so what they're saying is, look, and now making excuses for themselves, they're like, look, things were kind of foggy in the beginning, so you didn't really know, and you did what?
Yeah. And you believed what the terrorists said.
Yes, which has been their
and
MO
people wonder
how is it that the Gazans understand media manipulation better than the entire Western media?
Yeah.
You can't look at that and see what's going on. This is what you people do.
And people wonder why we don't trust the news media.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. This was such an egregious case of bias and not doing their homework, and it's just
they are trapping. They launch from civilian sites. They're not allowing people to leave because they want the casualties.
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying.
So don't say
that we would never, that they think exactly like us. Like, gosh, of course they don't want any civilian. Are you kidding?
Are you kidding? They want
they're strong. Their bombs suck. They land in their own country.
Yeah.
Their weapon is drawing casualties, filming it, and knowing that the Western liberal media will run it at the top of the hour.
Knowing that the New York Times will take their side, and it's disgusting. Yeah. So let's get back just for a minute to how did so-called college-educated people get to this point where they're so insane? They're so evil and so ill-informed and so full of hate. How did we get to this point?
But and then combine that with, going back to the Babylon Bee, going back to this hair trigger tenderness of anything that might possibly smack of hurting somebody's feelings.
Right. That's
combined
terrible.
with the joy of watching Jews murdered.
Yes, a bloodthirstiness on the one hand.
I'm not affected by that at all. But if a conservative speaker comes on campus, I need a separate cuddle room to go and cry safely.
Yes, because it denies my existence or some kind of nonsense. I think part of the problem is that we've been too kind. We've put up with BS. We've tolerated it. We've said, yeah, okay, fine. It's kind of cute that you think these ridiculous things, and we've cuddled it, we've tolerated it, we've let it go on. These absolutely absurd ideas that have been flooding the university for decades, and we've done nothing about it. We just keep giving them money. This is the American way. We want, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, all these places, and we've tolerated this BS, and it's grown into this cancer.
It has, but don't we have grown-ups that run the place?
No, we don't. Apparently, I mean, you have the one video I saw. There's this protest where people were basically saying they wanted to kill all the Jews, and there are two Jews standing there crying to a like the dean or something. Why are you allowing this? Because they see every day, all their time in college, they see if you dare to use the wrong pronoun, then you're in trouble and you get kicked out of school.
Yes.
And here's people saying, we want to kill all the Jews. And they're just like, that's free speech.
Universities I haven't heard this in years, are places where students get to explore different ideas. And it's like, well, where the hell have you been for the last 10 years?
Exactly. You're only allowed to express those ideas in a certain direction. And isn't it funny how every time the media makes a mistake, it's in one direction? And isn't it funny how every time liberal professors and provosts and deans and all that kind of stuff make say that something is free speech, it's always in one direction.
Yeah.
Always.
Do you remember the chalkening?
No.
So,
there was something written in the chalk.
Yes, it was... children, cover your ears.
Yes.
It was Trump 2016.
Right,
so if you actually are supporting the nominee of a party, we called for an investigation to find out who wrote in chalk. Or it wasn't spray painted on anything. Yeah. In fact, you're allowed to chalk anywhere you want on campus.
Yeah.
But the chalkening. So that was something that needed to be investigated because it hurt the feelings of people so badly. But calling for genocide.
Yeah. Yesterday, students at Penn were chanting, "We want Jewish genocide."
Penn is really gone in the toilet. That keeps coming up from Leah Thomas to this to anti-Jewish chanting.
Right. It's amazing.
That place is going in the toilet.
Unbelievable. One thing that's kind of common here, and this is kind of back to what I was saying at the beginning, that it's the recycled BLM, George Floyd, pro-choice, anti-Trump crowd. What they basically do is they take all the liberal talking points, and then they put Palestine at the end of it,
right?
And that just becomes part of the saying. It's like this. Free Palestine is a feminist issue. It's a reproductive rights issue. It's an indigenous rights issue. It's a climate justice issue. It's a queer rights issue. It's an abolitionist issue.
It's none of those things.
It's none of those things.
But again, it's like I was saying before. If you get all the right terms, you can get all the right people.
Yeah, it's magic. It's the magic formula. You say the magic words, and all of a sudden, all these zombie idiots
the
from
semi-educated,
yes,
right?
Come out and protest for you,
right? You would not try that in a small town.
Yeah, and they all come out and they do the chant, "Hey, hey, ho, ho! Something I don't understand has got to go." It's always the way it goes.
So backlash. How about donors withdrawing money? Right, so you've got the University of Pennsylvania grapples with donor crisis after Palestine rights event causes uproar. So, so now you've got maybe finding a little money where your mouth is.
Yeah,
is this the people? These Ivy League schools just I don't know why they charge anything. Their endowments are so massive. Everybody should be going for free.
Yeah,
and
but
if you're
to me this should have happened 40 years ago.
Yeah.
And the fact that it took getting to the point where universities are promoting genocide and justifying murder and rape and killing babies. The fact that
that's what it takes.
Killing certain babies. The fact that it took that to get some of these donors to say, no, maybe I shouldn't be contributing to the university is just disgusting and horrifying.
Yes,
these people have no.
At least it might be happening.
Yeah, finally. I mean, it's
now how about CEOs blacklisting the students? Going, all right, all of you who signed this, guess where you're not working?
Yeah.
For my company.
I'm all for it. And, people are going to say, well, I thought you weren't for cancel culture. Yeah. No, I'm not for cancel culture when people have disagreements over political issues. When people are calling for genocide, cancel those people. Come on.
Yes. So a company is not allowed to have that as a standard when hiring somebody.
Right.
So you can look at all their credentials, but whether or not they call for the murder of Jews while the CEO is a Jew.
Yeah.
You should, come on.
It's just a political disagreement.
You should
allow people to have these kind of opinions.
So did you see the doxing truck?
Yes, that was fantastic. Yeah.
I mean,
why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
So there's those billboard trucks.
So let's make a distinction here, because I know some of our listeners are going to be thinking, but you guys don't like cancel culture. Okay, right. Let's make a distinction here. The left cancels people because they use the wrong pronoun.
Yes.
We want to cancel people because they murder women. They support the murder of women and babies and civilians.
Yes.
I think there's a little bit of a difference there.
Yes. Can we call something a little bit of a degree?
Yeah. I think there's a pretty sharp distinction between the kind of cancel culture that the left advocates and
would you hire somebody who voted for a party that you didn't vote for? Is that the same thing?
Right. Is that the same thing as saying we want to kill all the Jews? Yeah. Come on. Yeah. It's like the lack of intellectual rigor, the lack of moral discernment, the lack of people being able to make distinctions between things it's disgusting.
Yes, and hearing the talk of the moral equivalency, I don't even want to hear it.
I know.
So the doxing truck.
Yeah.
So this, they have these billboard trucks. You pay to put anything on them. Mm-hmm. All of these students who signed. I mean, you want to go on record.
Yeah, as Harvard students.
This is your point.
They decided to sign this document. These Harvard students decided to sign this document saying that they supported this crap.
Yes, so this truck has Harvard's leading anti-Semites.
Right.
And then 34 student groups. Not 34 students.
Yeah.
I wish I had the rest of the article here. Well, the list of 34 is longer than you want to hear, but all of those groups and their constituents, I guess, their signees,
members, right? Yeah.
Are blaming Israel for this attack.
Blaming Israel for the fact that
so you have said so. You've taken a position, and okay, good for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can take that position. But,
and this
guess
truck
what?
is driving around going, this is where you stand, right? I mean, you said that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think it would be great if CEOs around the country said, "Okay,
it's like
I'm never going to have a job."
It's
here.
like it's libs of TikTok,
right?
It's like you put out there you know, something ridiculous,
yes,
but you put it out there, expecting to be praised for it, and you were in your certain circles, and of course, all of these people who signed it all high-fived each other and slapped each other's backs. But now that somebody has called you out in a not nice way.
Yeah, now they're upset about it.
So.
Yeah. And let them be upset. It's fine with me. I don't care.
So
Have you heard about the pro-Palestine people calling Jews Nazis? I mean, what?
Yeah, it's like the genocide thing. Do you know who you're talking to?
Yeah. Do you even understand the words that you're using? It's unbelievable.
You mean the people who want to kill Jews? That would be you.
Right. Yes.
But I mean, it's total projection on their part.
Yes.
All of this is.
Well,
I'm the victim. I'm the victim. You're causing genocide. You're the Nazis. Do you?
Who was the political writer who said that whatever the left is doing, they accuse the right of doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember who that guy was, but that seems to be what's going on. Yeah, so I don't understand how things have gotten to this point. You would think that universities would actually be teaching people, but they're not.
Well, all right. So let's just take one step off campus. The massive rallies in the West in cities.
Right.
I would call this a failure of multiculturalism, and all the more reason to limit immigration in general. Mm-hmm. One, but specifically,
right.
Or else, what do you get? You get Jew-hating rallies in the street, and you get Tlaib and Omar representing people in Congress.
Right.
This is what you get when you flood your country with people who hate you.
Yes, and will we learn the lesson? No, we won't.
No.
It used to be, I'm told, that immigration policy was based around the idea of, will these people assimilate into our culture? Will they be helpful to us? Will they,
Yeah.
Now it seems to be the opposite.
Yes.
It's, will these people be different enough? Will they bring, are they different? Will they come in and correct? Because, Obama told us that America had to be fundamentally transformed.
Yes.
So they're trying to bring in people to fundamentally transform America, and this is what you get.
And this is what you get, right? German homeschoolers, not welcome.
Oh, kick them out. Gosh.
Right. Pro Hamas Jew haters.
Right.
Come on in.
Bring them in. Right. It's unbelievable. Yeah, but despite all this, the Jews control everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Jews control everything. Oh, with that in mind, will the Jews who control everything will separate themselves from the hateful progressive left?
Oh, gosh. I've been wondering this for decades. Why are so many Jews aligned with the left when the left has been so clearly against them in so many different ways?
Yes, they're really the only friends they have are American conservatives.
Right.
And they're overwhelmingly Democrats.
Yes. Who's the journalist Barry Weiss, who
Yeah.
was a liberal Jew who is turning more conservative?
Yeah, she was run out of the New York Times basically by saying, maybe Trump isn't the monster that you think he is. She didn't vote for Trump. She wasn't pro-Trump. She was just trying to be an objective journalist, but that was too much for them.
Yeah, I was thinking...
Not hating Trump means that you don't belong on the New York Times.
I was thinking that it would be nice to come up with a list of liberal Jews who've started to become more conservative. Dave Rubin would be another one.
Okay.
Weinstein would be another one. He's not really a conservative, but he's leaning in that direction.
Yeah, I mean, isn't Bill Maher?
Is he a Jew?
Isn't he Jewish?
I don't know. Yeah, and he's been turning more conservative. He's still not
No.
conservative, but he's leaning in that direction. I think.
Well, I don't need you to be a
finally-
conservative. Just recognize that the left is losing its mind.
Exactly. Yes. I mean, shouldn't that be easy enough? It should be so easy to recognize that the left is losing their mind because it's so obvious.
But I think the important distinction is that, the distinction that you used to be able to make is that, okay, look, there's the crazy left wing of the Democrat Party, and then there's the central, moderate, normal part of the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Where are they?
No, there's nothing left. There
There
might be a few.
So there's
Joe Manchin, maybe.
You can kind of conflate the two. Yeah, and every time there's for every Joe Manchin and what's her name in Arizona, Tulsi Gabbard anybody who's got any sense just finally goes, you know what, I'm done here.
Yeah, exactly. That's just not working anymore.
Right. So, so we used to be able to say, I'm not talking about all Democrats. I'm just talking about the crazy left-wing progressive types.
Yeah, 94% of
Now,
them.
now they're one and the same.
Yeah, yeah. It's got.
So that's what I'm saying about the Jews who used to be like, all right, we're Democrats and we're liberals, but we're obviously not Jew-hating crazies. Well, looks like the whole lot of them are Jew-hating crazies.
Yeah. Yeah, and they don't have the courage to stand up against them. And I think the crisis of courage is a big part of the story here, is that we've been putting up with lunacy for a long time, and we haven't been willing to stand up to these petulant, hair on fire, crazy children to say, no, you can't behave that way. No, you can't speak that way. No, what you're promoting is nonsense. Stop saying that. But the problem is the university professors are teaching them this idiocy.
They're teaching them this. They're turning their classrooms over to them. Your kids can walk out of class and get extra credit for it. You know what I mean? The teacher's not in charge. If you misspeak, the children can have their teachers
run out of town.
Yeah. They can claim that their class is too hard.
Yeah.
And force the teachers to give them better grades.
Yeah.
Where are the grown-ups?
Right. I don't know. I'm not so sure. It's very depressing. All right. You got anything else you want to?
Well, I mean, I'd like to. What's our optimistic note to end on here?
Optimistic note to end on here is that the craziness of the left has become so obvious that anybody with 2 brain cells can see it.
Yeah, but how long have you been saying that? That's my concern.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you make complete sense, sir, but I've heard that before.
Yes. Yes. And somehow, I mean, you're right. Somehow or other, despite the fact...
You keep thinking we've reached the point.
You think that you've reached the point, but you really haven't. You really haven't.
And at this point, I'm sorry for the innocents in Palestine who have who have tethered themselves to this horrible organization and this horrible intention to destroy Israel. But if you get caught in the crossfire, it's on you.
Yeah.
Remember we did the whole show on the on war ethics. Mm-hmm. Look, if somebody's shooting at me and straps their own baby to their chest, and I shoot back, guess what? That baby's death is on you.
I'm going to try not to hit the baby, but if I accidentally do, I'm sorry. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's absolutely horrible what the Israeli army is going to have to do.
Yeah.
And when they march into Gaza, which I hope they do soon.
Mm-hmm.
But when they go in, and good hunting when you do.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring a world of hurt. I'm not done. See, I don't. What another Babylon Bee was? They said the Hamas meant ceasefire for the Israelis.
We'll keep shooting.
Yes,
exactly.
Can we have a ceasefire that's a one-way ceasefire?
That's what it's always.
That's pretty
is.
Much yes.
And Israel is supposed to live. The rest of the world expects Israel to live in an environment where every once in a while Hamas just sends bombs into their country. Does anybody else?
I heard a guy yesterday say he was talking about his experience being there. He's actually as a UFC fighter, lives in Las Vegas, but he was in Israel, and he's like, well, fortunately, we weren't right there with the action. He says we're about 20 miles away. And then he's like, yeah, but 20 miles. He says in Vegas, that's how far I drive to the gym.
Right.
But in those terms, that's actually far from the conflict.
Yeah.
20 miles.
Yeah. And
I drive 30 miles to work.
And it's just a question of them getting longer range missiles, which I'm sure Iran is going to try to give them.
Yeah. So I mean, I hope this lasts for a long time.
Yeah. Gosh, what a mess. Okay.
All right.
Well, that was not very fun. I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't very encouraging. So everybody, just think happily ever after. Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.